Islam oppresses women in inheritance.
In Islamic law, in Sharia law, a sister inherits half of what her brother inherits.
Wow.
Wow, that's so unfair. See, here Allah is commanding that boys take double what girls get in inheritance. How do people still believe that in 2025? The inheritance should be equally distributed, and anyone who says otherwise is unfair, and any book that says otherwise is not from God. This claim is repeated by a lot of Christian preachers and a lot of liberal atheists. They claim that these verses prove that the Quran was man-made. Not only that, it was man-made by a misogynistic man. Let's read them together so you can see it with your own eyes. The first verse says, if a man dies and leaves no son, give his inheritance to his daughter, which means the daughter only gets inheritance if she has no brothers. But if a son exists, she gets nothing. That's too oppressive, right? And here is another verse. The right of the firstborn is to take a double share compared to his brother. So even if the man has two sons, between them inheritance is not to be distributed equally. This unfair book must not be from God, right? People have to stop believing it, right? No, really, I'm asking you, do you agree that this is a man-made book? Thank you. Because these two verses that I just quoted are not from the Quran. They are from the Bible, specifically Numbers 27:8 and Deuteronomy 21:17. And yes, Christians never claimed these verses to be metaphors or anything. They actually applied them throughout all the Christian history. You can revise after me if you want. In the US, women started inheriting in 1833. Married women only got the right to own property in 1900. They got voting rights in 1920. In Britain, women began inheriting in 1870. In Russia, in 1980. Meanwhile, Muslim women all over the world had all of these rights since the 7th century. That is 1200 years of Muslim women having full financial rights before Christians or Western women even discovered them. So before pointing fingers, let's put things into perspective. Now, after we shut up those Christian preachers and liberals, let's talk about the inequality in inheritance claim in Islam. The preacher who made up this claim employed a mental trick to deceive his audience. It's called zoom in to find the mistake trick. Let me explain. Take this laptop for example. It has a clear, bright, white background, right? But if I zoom in on the pixels, I will see green diodes, red diodes, and blue diodes. What I can do now is I can point to each one of these diodes and say, this diode is red, it should be white, that is a mistake. See this diode, it's green, it should be white, that's another mistake. Ignoring the fact that for you to see the pure white, you have to zoom out first. Ignoring the fact that all of this red and green and blue diodes work together to produce the clean, pure, white color that we all love. That is exactly what the preacher is doing. He zooms in one single Islamic law, ignoring the rest of the Sharia. And it looks wrong on its own, yes, but it works perfectly with the others to produce the fair, happy society we dream of. My refutation today will have two main parts. Part number one is that there are more than 30 different cases of inheritance in Sharia law that I know of. And if you ask someone who is more knowledgeable than me, you will get more. In some of them, men receive more than women, like the example the preacher gave. But in some other cases, men receive equal inheritance to women, like this case for example, or this case. And listen to this, because this is very interesting. In some cases, women even receive more inheritance than men. Yes, you heard me correctly. Like this case for example, or this case for example, or this case, or many other examples in Sharia law where women receive more inheritance than men. But the preacher will never talk about that, right? It doesn't fit his agenda to bring up all the facts. So clearly now you understand that it's not about gender. Clearly, the laws of inheritance are much deeper than just that. Part number two of my refutation is the following. See this one case that they like to focus on to, give you the impression that Allah is unfair? In this one case, the boy takes double of what the girl takes. I will show you now how this law in this specific situation benefits women more than men. Remember the laptop screen example? When we zoomed out, we saw the white background that we were wishing for, right? Let's do the same with this law. Here are two families. Each family has two kids, a boy and a girl. And let's assume that each father dies and leaves behind $300 exactly. So according to the Sharia law, each boy will inherit $200 and each girl will inherit $100. Don't run away now, keep watching because the important part is coming. Because now this boy wants to marry this girl, and the opposite. Each boy gives his new bride $100 in dowry. Look now what happened. Each girl has $200 while each boy is left with $100 only. But wait, I'm not done. The girls get to keep their $200. But the boys, each one of them will have to buy gifts, furniture, wedding, honeymoon, and then after that they will have to pay rent, bills, groceries, medicine, and they will have to take care of her and the children's expenses until they die. So each one of those two boys will end up paying millions throughout his life, and the two girls will keep their initial $200 until they die. Giving this boy the initial push that he needed in the beginning of his life will not only help him out, but also it will help out the girl who was waiting for him to get ready for marriage. Because instead of her waiting for him to save money for all of this stuff for years and years, at least they will get married a little bit early. Also, by the way, the same applies even if they didn't get married. Because each brother will be financially responsible for his sister. So the two girls will still keep their money and the two boys will have to spend on their sisters from their inheritance. Huge difference between reality and the false image that the preachers and the Islamophobes want you to believe about Islam. And now someone will say, wait, what? That looks unfair to men. That is still unfair, but the opposite. And again, I will tell him, zoom out. Zoom out even more. Because men and women were created with different strength. The man is built more physically and emotionally resilient and is wired to feel self-worth when he provides. But the same man is emotionally deficient to be able to give children the love and care they need. A man cannot bring forth a new generation of well-educated, emotionally stable world leaders who will continue our path on this earth. But on the other side, a well-rested, financially supported mother equals a healthy, stable new generation, while a mother who is forced to carry all the burdens equally equals the stressed and depressed generation we often see today. And by the way, don't misunderstand me. Islam doesn't prevent women from working. It simply ensures that they never have to. They are never forced into financial pressure. You know what? That's a topic for another video. For now, I just want you to remember that whenever you read Sharia law, you have to take it as a whole system or leave it as a whole system. Don't just isolate one rule because it wouldn't make sense on its own. And by the way, the same Islamophobes who said that are also claiming that Islam calls women donkeys and dogs. If you heard this claim and want to hear my refutation, click on this video where I debunked it fully and I exposed their lies. But wait, before you go, remember that you can share the reward with us by helping this Dawah video spread. Jazakumullah khairan. Salam alaikum.